ndopa akatanga kuita hero akatenga atori hero nakudhara vasati vamutumidza kuti hero zitaizviziva kuti hero nokuti akachengetedza tsika nemagariro zvemuno tikaenda kuma-overseas uku akunozwa kwatinobva vanhu vanozivikanwa ndini naoiva vana macheso vanogumira kunana iri
mukanya this man's achievements oof, we could spend the whole day talking about them. He is the most decorated music artist to ever come out of Zimbabwe. I guess we can excuse him for having a loud mouth. He has earned the right to trash talk anybody, including the president. He is the Lion of Zimbabwe, the Gandanga, the originator of Chimurenga music, a Grammy-recognized genre. Matter of fact, the only Grammy-recognized music genre from Zimbabwe. He was the number person of the century in 2000, a University of Zimbabwe honorary master's degree holder in recognition of his advocacy for freedom, an Ohio University honorary doctorate degree holder in music in recognition for his activism. Shush! Ladies and gentlemen, this is the life and legacy of Dr. Thomas Mapfumo. Thomas Mapfumo was born on the 2nd of July, 1945. He was born in Marondera to Janet Chinamo of Chihuahua and to Pumane Makore of Mupinyuri village in Gurube. However, the two did not stay together, and Makore relocated to a farm near Beatrice, where he got a job as a tractor driver. Janet went on to get married to John Kashesha Mapfumo and moved with him to Mavuko, Salisbury. Thomas grew up in Marondera with his maternal grandparents, Mr. and Mrs. Monomumwe, and then he was known as Michael Monomumwe. Interestingly, he noted that Monomumwe was not his mother's real father. She had grown up with a stepfather, just like as you would do. When it was time to get a national identity card, Thomas had to change his name. This is what he said about the ordeal. I went to the district office with my uncle Chiwara. He was my grandmother's brother. He used his name to facilitate the processing of my ID. That is how I became Thomas Chiwara. I have not changed the name since then. It is the name that is in the national records. It is during his stay with his grandparents that his love for music developed, as his grandfather used to hold a lot of parties and partook in the ritual all-night drumming. It is also in Marondera that he developed his cocky and mischievous nature, always fighting other boys after school while herding cattle. According to him, he was a very good fighter, and well, there's a certain cockiness about men who can handle themselves in a fight. The brash talk that infuriates people, followed by that "what you gonna do" attitude. In 1955, when he was 10 years old, Thomas moved in with his parents in Mavuku, Salisbury. His stepfather was a choir leader at church, while his mother was a chairwoman. During his stay in Mavuku, Thomas attended concerts held at the municipality halls where quartets band performed. Bands such as the Crooner, the Kofo, and the Capital City Dixies, of which one of his uncles was a member, performed and inspired young Thomas, as he usually went back home and mimicked their songs. These bands usually were backed by two instruments, the banjo and a guitar. Young Thomas made his own banjo, which he played enthusiastically. However, when his stepfather found out, he was very cross, as a banjo was associated with beggars and vagabonds at the time. However, Thomas did not stop doing music, and he joined his first band, the Mazutu Brothers, as a lead singer. The band sang songs by Little Richard and Elvis Presley, songs which they heard on the radio, and they created a buzz in the Mavuku township. While the band was gathering momentum, Thomas' stepfather was transferred by the church from Mavuku to Mbare. In Mbare, that's where Thomas met the Mataka family, a quite famous band that had a variety show where sketches, tap dancing, and singing without instruments were done. He stayed with the Matakas for 6 months, receiving guidance and mentorship to launch his music career. After the Matakas, Thomas joined a new band, the Cosmic Four Dots. In this band, he further refined his singing and started experimenting with writing vernacular songs, eventually doing a live recording of their song in Indofazongo Amai. Thomas left the Cosmic Four Dots in 1964, joining the Springfields Band, as this band had equipment and a contract to perform at Rambanai Bar. Thus, he started getting paid. However, after exposing the corruption of a one William Bell and getting him arrested, Thomas and his band were fired as soon as Bell got released. This is what Thomas said about the situation. "I think this is where my revolutionary attitude began, and I could only show it in my music. The loss of a job through such an injustice affected and depressed me very much." Thomas and the Springfields went on a national tour, performing at municipality halls until 1967. In 1967, they got a contract to perform at Mutanga nightclub in Highfields, Salisbury. And in 1968, they were fired again for unruly behavior after they lost their spot at the nightclub to a rumba band called New Limpopo, of which rumba was a very popular music genre at the time. They left for Bulawayo and got contracts to perform at Northern Hotel and then Marisha nightclub, before returning to Mutanga nightclub. However, disaster struck when the owner of the club, Mr. Mutanga, passed away and the club fell apart. Thomas left the band and stopped music altogether in 1972. This sabbatical only lasted for 6 months, as another opportunity presented itself. A long-time colleague, Daram Karanga, approached him with an offer to play for Mangula Mine, which had bought new equipment and were looking for musicians to entertain their workers. Thomas agreed, and they formed the Chicken Run Band. The name derived from the chicken run where they worked at when they were not playing. When they began playing, their audience was mainly comprised of the white workers at the mine. However, to accommodate the black workers at the mine, they started experimenting with Shona lyrics and also singing folklore songs like Chamtengure and their own compositions like Shunguz Nondibaya and Kunaka Wakanaka. During this time, they started experimenting with the traditional sound to complement their traditional songs. They chose to mimic the traditional instrument mbira with the guitar. Here is Mapfumo explaining the process.
I was experimenting. I thought, well, it can be done, because you see, the difficult part about the mbira is it's different from the keyboard.
Yeah.
Because with that organ, with the keyboard, they are straightforward pitch keys. You see. Now with that thing, deliberately, you can find an off a flat pitch, a flat tune, right? But it's needed. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
You see.
There are plenty of minors on the middle.
Yeah, there are plenty of minors, but those minors are flat or sharp.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. They are never on the pitch.
Yeah.
So basically, if you want to be good, so it's up to you. If you got a good ear, you will have to imitate all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if you get the feel of it, then you're okay. So most of the guitarists were really lazy to sort of think that they could do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to me, it was a challenge.
Yeah.
I took it up. Yeah. And I eventually even developed in the context of the guitar.
The Chicken Run Band was invited to perform at a festival at the Skyline Motel organized by Tio Records as part of their talent scouting. On that day, they came dressed in traditional attire and delivered a traditional sound rather than the rock and roll sound preferred by most bands. They did not disappoint, and Chris Matema, who was a producer at Tio Records, signed them to a record deal, and they went on to release their first album titled Take One in 1972. The album had songs like Hoyo Mrembo, Msawore Moyo, and Kumarira Ngwenya. In 1975, Thomas got into a dispute with the Mangula Mine management over the payment structure, and he quit the band. He tried to convince his bandmates to leave with him for Harare, but they stayed put because most of them were already married and had started their families. Thomas left, a disappointed man. That is it for today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.